Welcome back to Mamba Ranch, everybody. So, over the last year on my hobby farming adventure, I have learned quite a bit. And I will be going over the top 5 things that I wish I knew a year ago when I started my hobby farm journey. So whether you want to call it a hobby farm, a homestead, a farm, a ranch, they're all pretty much the same thing. And we will be going over what it was like in my first year. I am by no means an expert. I want to let everybody know that this is purely my experience in the last year and a little bit from growing my own hobby farm. I started off as a city slicker, as you might want to call it, and this has been what I've learned over the last year and a half. So let's get to it. So the first point that I wanted to make was I wanted everybody to just slow down. Now this is something that is probably going to sound funny coming from someone like myself, because in the first year of hobby farming, I accumulated 7 goats, 2 mini horses, 7 rabbits, 4 cats, and I also have 4 dogs and 8 chickens. So I started off in June of 2023 with 2 goats. I got 2 fainting goats, which were Derry and Ripley, and I got them really young. And then I decided that I would add 2 more just 2 weeks after. And while they have all turned out to be great friends and everything, it was not without its its woes, because I had a lot of trouble with them making friends, because the other 2 newer goats they were also fainting goats, but they were a little bit bigger, so they started to bully the smaller ones. Yeah, Ripley. So that is something to take into account. You want to grow it a little bit slower than I did. Do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. This here is Ripley. He was one of the first that I got, and Rooster was the second set of goats that we got. And while they are all sweet and I love them to bits, I wouldn't change a thing, but I think I would have grown my farm a little bit slower and just kind of slowed down and enjoyed the animals as I got them for a little bit longer before adding more. So the first point is to slow down and enjoy the animals that you get. Take time to get to know them and everything. Hi, Goose. Hello. Hi. Oh. So the next tip is going to be to make a plan for your hobby farm. Now, if it is simply just that, it's just a hobby, it's not meant to make you any money or sustain any life, like gardening for your family or having animals so that you can harvest them, etc., then that's totally fine. I simply wanted animals because I love taking care of animals. I love animals. I've always been an animal person, and I love living my life full of animals, and I wanted different kinds of animals. So yeah, one of the more important things that I think a hobby farm owner should be doing before they start any of their ventures is to ensure that they have a plan on where they want their hobby farm going. If their hobby farm is something that they want to make money off of, or they want to just be gardeners and be self-sufficient, then that's totally fine. But you want to make sure that if you want milk, that you get, the proper breeds of cows or goats for that. If you want to have meat and harvest animals, you need the proper kind of cows and the proper kind of animals for those purposes. So it's important to buy and create a farm that is going to suit your needs specifically, so that you're not wasting time and money and all your effort into something that you later find out doesn't fulfill your needs and what you want in a hobby farm. For instance, I really just love taking care of animals. So my animals serve no purpose other than to fulfill my need of taking care of all different kinds of animals and just to love on them and give them an amazing life. So all of my animals, they don't breed, they're not for meat, they are just simply to enjoy and be companions. So one of the other important points that I thought of for this top 5, can you get your big head out of the way? One of the other important points that I thought of for this top 5 was to choose animals that will thrive in your environment. So that means I live in a winter environment in the prairies in Canada. I am not going to choose, I am not going to choose a kangaroo who needs, hot, warm weather and is used to Australia. So I picked goats that are hardy in the winter. I picked horses that are also very hardy in the winter, and they grow thick coats. They love the winter, and they also love what our land grows naturally. So our land grows a lot of thistle and weeds and stuff like that, some broadleaf, and the goats absolutely love that. And we grow a lot of hay. So we have about 7 acres of hay. So that is going to be way more than enough for the too many horses that we have and the 7 goats. So I picked my animals appropriately, and that is probably one of my number 1 tips for hobby farmers, because so many times I will see people posting or asking for advice when they have animals and they can't feed them properly, or they don't have the recommended housing for them, because it's invaluable to have the proper environment for the animal that you are keeping. So as a bonus tip for everybody, I wanted to go over the importance of proper shelter for the animals that you are getting. So when we moved here, they had this beautiful chicken coop that is fully insulated out of the wind. It has beautiful big windows that let the sunlight in all year round, and it keeps them warm. It is actually minus 25 right now, and I could literally be in here in a sweater, and we don't have to worry about them in the winter because I know that they are warm because they have proper shelter, and that is absolutely a must, especially when you live in a place that has such varying levels. Yes, that has such varying levels of weather. So we go from plus 30 to minus 30 here, and it's so important that we can have the shelter that gets them out of the wind, out of the rain, and out of the cold weather. Not having to worry about your animals is an invaluable thing when you are a hobby farmer. So we are in the barn now, and in the barn I have rabbits and cats. So they live in harmony together, they play together, they sleep together, they're very much friends. I don't know if they play as much anymore because the cats aren't so young. So that there is Pico. And I want to bring up my next point, which is going to be to take the time to research the animal or the thing that you are getting into when it comes to your hobby farm. So with me, I learned this lesson in a very hard way with rabbits. So growing up, my sister had rabbits, and rabbits were a common pet to have. And they were just, they were a common pet. You saw them in the pet stores a lot. You saw them, you saw a lot of people have them. And they were just they seemed like a fun and easygoing pet. Well, I couldn't be more wrong. And while they are fun, they are, one, a lot of work, and two, very, very finicky health-wise. They have so many health issues that can arise, that can be genetic, that can be unknown, and they can also just up and die even by being startled, which is something I didn't know. and I'm not sure. I didn't go into rabbits thinking like, oh, they're gonna be easy peasy, but I didn't know just how hard they were going to be. I did do some research, and the way that I got into them was I just said in passing to a friend like, oh yeah, no, I've been looking at getting Flemish Giants rabbits because I think they're really cool. And she happened to have one that she wanted to rehome, and she was currently living with a Rex rabbit that was from a breeding farm, and they didn't want him anymore because he was sterile. So I got 2 rabbits, and that was less than a year ago. That was February 2024. So it is January 2025, and I got my first set of rabbits, and within that year they both died. So since then, it's been so difficult. The other one, he was about 4 or 5 years old, so it could have just been old age. I'm not really sure, but he did have other health issues because he was sterile. And the Flemish Giant died before she was even a year old. We're not sure, but we think it might have been stress from him humping her constantly. So, I mean, I had her less than a month before she passed away, so it could have been a lot of things. We don't really know. So I implore you and I encourage you to research before you bring them onto your farm. And if they happen to show up onto your farm and an opportunity comes up, whatever, it is never too late to learn about the animal that you are caring for so that you care for them properly and efficiently so that you can spend the most time with them possible and quality time with them. Because I have optimized my bunny enclosure so that I can actually spend time with them instead of cleaning 24/7 and being too tired from cleaning. So make sure that you research and plan everything. Research before you get them as much as you can. If you can't, then it's never too late to research about the animal that you're bringing home. So because it's so cold, let's head into the barn to talk about our next point. Alright, so I am out of the wind and I'm going to talk about the final point, and that is I want everybody to keep in mind when they are starting a hobby farm to be realistic. So at the end of the day, animals are animals and they are going to get into trouble. They are going to get hurt. They are going to need special diets. They are going to need certain things. Well, case in point, Moose just attacked and bit Rowdy, trying to scare him. Animals are animals at the end of the day, and they are going to surprise you with the amount of trouble that they can get into. So, like last year, actually, one of our goats cut off his leg by getting his circulation cut off. And that was about a 5-month ordeal of seeing if we could save his leg. The vet came out, we got x-rays of his leg as well. He ended up having to amputate part of his leg. And so it was a 5-month long process of taking care of an injured animal. And if you don't have the time, the patience, and everything for that, not to mention the money, but I'm not going into that because that one seems to be an obvious point to make. So yeah, like just be realistic about what you can handle on your farm and what kind of animals fit into your lifestyle and into your day-to-day farming needs, right? Yeah, you liked it? Oh, you like that? Yeah. yeah, being realistic is probably one of the most important things you can do when you're starting a farm, and bringing these animals into your lives and telling them that you're going to take care of them. All right, everybody, so I am going to end the video there. Those were my top 5 tips I have for hobby farmers that are starting out or ones that are already established. Please consider subscribing and helping this channel grow, and feel free to comment on what tips you have learned over your hobby farming adventures. Anyways, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.